totally amazing. You guys won't believe this incredible store I was able to visit a couple of weeks ago that completely blew my mind. For a little change this week, we take a break from our usual Antiverse drama and travel all the way to another part of the world to visit what has got to be one of the most impressive collection of ants and ant-keeping gear I've ever seen. Today we visit the amazing Antstore World of Ants, all the way in Berlin, Germany, and speak with Martin, the founder of Antstore, about ant keeping and all the ants and gear within their ant store. You guys will be shocked at their setups. Stay tuned for an epic exploratory video of a total wonderland for ant lovers like myself, and I'm sure all of you AC family too, as we check out the amazing ants of Antstore Berlin. But there was also something I had to ask Martin, and that was the big question about his stance on the heated and controversial issue of keeping exotic ants. Because as we're about to see today, Antstore sells non-native ants imported from other countries, something we here at AntsCanada do not endorse. Stay tuned for his surprising response and my reaction to it. Also, something totally miraculous happened that showed this visit to Antstore Berlin was truly blessed by the ant heavens. All that here on today's info and ant-packed episode of the AntsCanada Ant Channel. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. Welcome to the AC family. Enjoy! I have been a huge fan of Antstore since I first began keeping ants as a serious hobby back in 2009. 10 years ago, I first began frequenting Antstore's online forums to learn the basics of ant keeping, as well as the various possibilities for ant setup designs, which eventually led me to go on and start this AntsCanada YouTube channel and the AntsCanada Ant Store at AntsCanada.com. So as you can imagine, during a recent visit to Berlin, Germany, where Antstore is located, it was a total dream to finally get to actually visit the famous Antstore World of Ants, as well as meet its founder, Martin, who to me is one of the most influential and innovative ant keepers in the world. Today you'll be mind-blown with Antstore's incredible ant colonies. But first, let's meet Martin and find out a little more about how Antstore began.
Yes, my name is Martin and I'm the owner of Antstore. So I start the business with ants and the ants equipment. I was a young boy, maybe around 5 years old, and I was look in the nature what the ants do, and it was very interesting. So yes, I start to pick up a colony of ants and put in the old aquarium. And it was very amazing. It was very nice to see what the ants do, which job and how they work together. So I start with the first ant keeping ant page, and it was very popular. So that many people asked me for, can you help me to build a formicarium, or how can I get these ants? So this was the first way which I start with the business.
And what an amazing business Martin and his team at Antstore has built. What blew my mind were the setups they have at Antstore. I'll be showing you all my favorites in today's video. So first, as soon as I stepped into the store, the very first ant setup I saw was this. A weaver ant terrarium. Oh, it was so cool to see these ants here. It made me feel like I was back home in the Philippines, watching the Emerald Empire. This 3-year-old Asian weaver ant colony was imported from South China, housed on a tropical plant within a giant glass terrarium. I loved watching them feed on crickets, mealworms, and fruit flies, carrying their catches into their leaf nests. And speaking of leaf nests, check out this awesome time-lapse footage of the weaver ants constructing a leaf nest. Amazing display of strength. But the cool thing about the setup was that the ants even decided to create leafless nests up against the glass using just silk. Take a look. How awesome is that, right guys? You could see their brood piles, eggs, larvae, pupae. If you're new to weaver ants, these ants use the silk from their larvae to create leaf nests. And boy, is their architecture something to marvel at. Martin said the colony had one egg-laying queen somewhere in the setup. With all these exotic ant colonies in the store, I had to ask him what they usually recommend as a good beginner species for their customers here in Germany.
So, what is a beginner species in your opinion? So, for those who would like to start keeping ants, what is the best ant to start with?
For our customers, we say very easy. It's Lasius niger, so the black garden ant, or the Messer barbarus, a species from South Europe, because here you have not the problem with the temperature or with the humidity, and you can use lots of different kinds of nests. And yeah, we think this is very easy.
Yes, Lasius niger. It was my very first time to see the famous and common species in real life. For me, I tend to have a fascination for common ant species because they not only tend to be the easiest to keep, but also often grow to become the most impressive of ant colonies. I mean, take a look at this Lasius niger colony. Lasius niger, also known as the common black ant or garden ant here in Europe, don't exist in Toronto, Canada, where I grew up. But we do have a related species called Lasius neo-niger, found North America wide. And they certainly don't exist in the Philippines, where I currently live. So it was such a delight to finally see Lasius niger up close and in the flesh. Or exoskeleton. And the other species, Messer barbarus, was another very popular ant species in the ant-keeping world that I was delighted to see in person. They were housed in very impressive glass vertical nests, connected with tubing. The end of the setup was connected to an outworld where the ants could collect their food to take back to the nest for storing. Messer barbarus is a harvester ant species, and apparently easy to keep. I just love how polymorphic the workers are, with their massive super majors. But I think the star colonies of the entire store had to be their numerous leafcutter ant setups. Check them out! The setups were connected by pipes which extended throughout the store. I could have watched these leafcutter ants for hours as they cut up leaves and flowers to take back to their nests, to chew up, and use to fertilize their massive fungus gardens. So if you're new to leafcutter ants, these ants chew up plant material and grow a fungus within their nests, which they eat. They don't eat the leaves and flowers, only the fungus. They're little farmers with a mission to grow these massive fungus balls, which sustain their growing colonies. This particular species is Acromyrmex octospinosus, native to Central and South America. Their setup involves providing the ants with fresh leaves and flower petals in an outworld to use and cut up for their gardens, which the ants have even decided to create within the pipes. How efficient! I swear these ants were such a dream species of mine, and I've only seen them in the wild once while on vacation in Cuba. But as you may know, I've never kept an ant species that I can't catch from my area. It's one of the major ethical principles we follow at the AntsCanada family, mostly for ecological reasons. And I was hoping to actually ask Martin about his perspective on this very controversial and ongoing heated debate among ant hobbyists. But I knew I had to bring it up tactfully and at the right time. Meanwhile, Martin also showed me their super impressive Polyrhachis divus colony, which totally reminded me of our platinum dragons. These neat semi-arboreal ants are known as lesser weaver ants, as they also build nests using the silk from their larvae, but will use mud, debris, and dirt. Their setup was a simple terrarium with lots of decor and landmarks for nest building, and food and sugar provided in dispensaries. This colony was also quite impressive to watch. But on now to a genus of ant perhaps all of us are familiar with. Campanotus. Their Carpenter ant setup was very cool. Simple, but awesome to look at. This species was Campanotus atriceps, a tricolored species with a golden gaster, a reddish-brown thorax, and a black head. The colony was housed in a neat plaster nest, connected to other units by tubes. I just loved watching the colony moving around in the various rooms of their formicarium. Don't you find it just satisfying and therapeutic? You could see tons of brood and lots of workers. Somewhere in here was the queen, but we weren't able to find her in this mass. The formicarium was connected to an outworld, where food was provided. I couldn't believe how many ants were in there. I loved how simply designed the outworlds were. No plants, just some driftwood. And the ants even nested in the driftwood. I know for a fact that Campanotus are a very slow-growing genus, and these guys reminded me of our lumberjacks. So I had great admiration for this colony, which had to have taken a long time to grow to this size.
So what age do you think kids can start keeping ants? What's the youngest?
Our answer for this question is we say for every children we need the parents because the parents must help for the keeping, never only kids alone.
Why do you think ants make great pets?
It's very small. You need not a big place. For example, the leafcutter ants. This is the other thing. The most ants you can keep in a smaller formicarium, and you have no problem with waste. You have not bad smell normally, and it's very interesting to see the jobs of those ants and what they make, how they work together, and I think. What is not so nice is only you cannot touch this ants. So.
Yeah, you can't really pet them.
But perhaps my ultimate favorite species at their store, which I spent the most time watching, was the oh-so-familiar species, Carebara diversa, the same species as our titans. And wow, check out this setup! A notoriously difficult species to keep in captivity, this Southeast Asian species was being housed in a vertical glass formicarium in a sand loam mix for digging. What amazed me was how simple the setup was. It was a formicarium connected to aquarium outworlds with tubing. Check out all those workers and brood. The advantage of keeping ants in clear setups like this is you actually get to see inside the nest. I began to wonder if I could try housing our titans in a similar setup. What do you guys think? Do you prefer our titans in a massive bioactive terrarium like they're currently in, and just see the ants above ground? Or would you prefer them to be in something more simple, like this, where you can see the action underground and above ground? Let me know in the comments section. With all these comparisons of the ant colonies and setups at Antstore to those within our Antiverse, way back in Manila, Philippines, I felt it was time to ask Martin the big question.
There's a lot of controversy about importing and exporting of non-native species of ants. AntsCanada as well has always promoted keeping ants locally. So what is your opinion on keeping exotic ants and how it might impact ecology? Do you think it's dangerous to import a foreign species?
Yes, here in Germany we have lots of many discussions about this, and yes, it's a risk. But here in Europe we have luck because we have the winter time, and the most exotic species cannot live here. So here's the risk not so high, but if you have other ants in tropical countries, the risk it's higher. For example, the leafcutter ants in the winter cannot find your leaves, or the wafer ants cannot or will die. It's the temperature under 10 degrees, so we have here not the risk. But we are not selling invasive species. Also, if you know the species make in some countries problems, for example, the fire ants or some other species, or furrow ants, we do not sell here in our shop.
Fair enough. For a full breakdown of the controversial topic of exotic ant keeping versus local ant keeping, you can check out this video here, detailing our stance. But as you can imagine, although our opinions on the matter of keeping non-local species of ants differ, I felt it didn't at all mean we couldn't still be great ant friends. Martin and Antstore are, in my mind, pioneers in the hobby and amazing promoters of ant love in Europe. And on this day, we officially became good ant friends. Martin and the Antstore team even gave me a couple customized ant farms, which were super cool, and interviewed me for their channel. So go check out our collab video on their YouTube channel after this video. Surprisingly, the whole staff of Antstore were also viewers of the AntsCanada channel. And it was awesome to know they were one of us, AC family. I also created a more personalized vlog about my visit to Antstore on my daily vlogging channel, here. So go check out that video as well. It was amazing to have a personalized tour of the Antstore with Martin. It also gave me ideas for the channel and our own ant room. Antstore has a huge plethora of ant-keeping products sold within Europe, and ant colonies sold only within Germany. So, if you're ever in Berlin, I totally recommend visiting Antstore World of Ants, as it is truly an ant keeper's wonderland. I have placed their physical address in the description box. I learned a lot visiting Antstore and chatting with Martin about ants. And are you ready to hear something totally amazing that happened during my visit? Well, as if things couldn't get any better, in a stroke of pure luck, I was elated to actually get to experience the annual nuptial flight of the famous ant species, Laecius niger, mentioned earlier in this video. It just so happened that the Laecius niger elates, Europe-wide, were having their nuptial flights while I was in Berlin. What great timing! And even more incredible was that the Laecius were flying in such huge masses that the ants were making headlines due to being visible on weather satellites. Can you believe that billions of flying ants were seen from space? Isn't that just crazy? Ant love is truly worldwide, and I hope you guys learned a thing or two about ant keeping for those of you who have been hoping to get into the hobby this year. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you've still got time to catch your queen ants as they fly well into September and October, depending on location. Ant keeping rocks, and I sure hope the hobby continues to grow. Thanks to you guys and the enthusiastic team at Antstore, I have no doubt in my mind, it will. Thanks for watching, and remember,
It's ant love forever.
AC family, did you enjoy today's interview and sit down with Martin and exploration of Antstore's ant colonies? Let me know in the comments. Special thanks to Martin and the entire Antstore team for accommodating us on our visit and taking the time to show us around. They were also kind enough to provide us with all the footage in today's ant episode. Also, do go check out my interview with them on their channel. Next week, we jump into a wormhole and teleport back into the Antiverse, where one of our biggest ant colonies awaits a transformation of territory. And trust me guys, you won't want to miss this episode. So you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button and bell icon for notifications now, so you don't miss out on the stories of the Antiverse. And don't forget to hit the like button every single time, including now. It would really help a lot. AC in our colony, I have left a hidden cookie for you here if you'd like to see extended play footage of the various ants at Antstore. They have so many different species from around the world, and some of the most impressive setups I've ever seen. So do check them out. And now it's time for the AC question of the week. Last week we asked, what is your favorite thing about weaver ants? Congratulations to Lainey Boylan, who correctly answered, I love how the Emerald Empire's larvae help them build their nests. I also love their amazing leaf nests and beautiful queens. Congratulations, Lainey! You just won a free ebook handbook from our shop. In this week's AC question of the week, we ask, which was your favorite species of ant at Antstore? Leave your answer in the comments section, and you could also win a free ebook handbook from our shop. Hope you can subscribe to the channel as we upload every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video to help us keep making more. It's Ant Love forever.